Hey fellow Patriots, welcome to Hope for Survival YouTube. Thanks for joining in for another video. It's much appreciated. If you are not a regular Hope for Survival YouTuber and haven't subscribed, we call them lurkers. Please consider reaching up and hitting the subscribe button. It's free. It costs you absolutely nothing at this point. And if you like this video, please hit like. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them below. And so this will be an interesting video. You're probably wondering, and some of you probably have your knickers in a wad. From the title of this video, and that's okay too. So, in case you missed it, the title of this video is "Our Veterans Wimps." So let me tell you how this came about. So over the weekend, Miss Lucy and I were out. This was the weekend of Christmas programs. We had 3 of them to attend. Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday. Knoxville Symphony Friday night, and Saturday evening was a singing Christmas tree musical program, and then Sunday morning was another great Christmas show over in Morristown, Tennessee. And by the afternoon we were working our way home so I could pack to hit the road again to head out about 5 o'clock this morning. And we were at a location where there were numerous vendors selling all kinds of crafts and pre-Christmas stuff, and of course I end up at a booth. It always ends up in a long conversation, and they had some products that I really liked, and that led to talking about canning, which led to a discussion on preparedness, which led to a discussion about Black Huey helicopters, and that led to the border, and one thing led to another and another and another. It was a good conversation. I enjoyed it much. I enjoyed meeting these two new like-minded individuals. And the conversation went to a point where the gentleman asked me, why did I believe veterans in America had not stood up to put up a resistance to the border and everything that is going on in America today. Fair question, right? He was not a veteran. He thanked me for my service, and he was very polite. It was not an abrasive question how it was asked. Sadly, because of the location and time, I wasn't able to give as much in depth of as an answer to be fair to his question. I tried. Okay. So, I want to approach the question, and hopefully I can answer it in a respectful manner, to not disparage or be disrespectful to any fellow veterans, ladies or men from any war, or those who served and maybe did not go to a campaign or a war. So I will just answer it from my perspective. First, something that a lot of people have a misconception of is that everyone who is in the military and wears a uniform, they're not gun takers. Okay? There are many professions throughout the military. Probably 60% to 65% are support jobs behind the lines, and then maybe 30% are some level of they're armed and they're trained to use their firearms, and then probably the top 5 to 10% that we call the tip of the spear, maybe 5%, 10% to be generous, are what we call shooters. And these are your forward. They go places that are not recorded and do things that no one talks about. Okay, and then you have your groundswell of Marines on the ground. You have Army on the ground. And you have your air support from the Marine Corps, Air Force, Navy, Army, rotor types. And many of these professions, like fuel drivers, logistics, cooks, medical, nurses, doctors, these jobs are behind the lines. Okay? They, in almost any case, they never go across the line, okay, to go forward. You have a rear staging area, and you have a forward area, okay? And most 60% of these folks almost always are in the rear area, okay? Well, if this is the case, then why are there so many cases of PTSD? Did they not endure PTSD from something traumatic in the war? Maybe. Okay, PTSD can be, it may be in a nurse who has PTSD from stress, from numerous wounded bodies brought through, maybe casualties. PTSD can be stress from another profession, possibly a fuel truck driver. The stress of worried about hitting an IED and the truck blowing up, or being sniped, things of that nature. It can be traumatic. They may have received a letter from home while they're deployed to a war front, and the stress of not being at home resulted in PTSD. So PTSD is not always a casualty, a psychological casualty of war. Okay. It could be a mortuary affairs team that had been trained their whole career, and then an incident happened and they had to go to, say, a crash site, and there were several casualties from the aircraft. And even though they had trained for this for years, when they actually had to go there and witness the dead body, the stress overtook them and they snapped, and PTSD set in. Okay, so numerous professions are recognized through one uniform, and then patches on that uniform will set them apart. Okay, and then certain elements, certain units are kept separate from your everyday military units. The folks who are, you would know them as special forces. Okay, and this could be a blend of special forces, military, and other government entities. It could be other nations who are working with us. Ford. So it all depends on the situation. Okay. So to the question of our veterans wimps. I know and have worked with civilians that are not military who I would trust my life with, who I would stand beside of, or I would get in a foxhole with them. And I know others who were in the military who I would not want standing beside of me, who I would not want in a foxhole with me, and I definitely would not fall asleep in the foxhole thinking they were going to protect my life. And I don't say that as an insult to them. Again, it goes back to training, skills, psychological makeup of the individual. How well are they grounded? What is their background? Things of that nature. Okay. So to say that everyone who has worn a uniform who is a veteran is a wimp is kind of a strong statement that the categories of the different individuals in a single uniform, I don't think you can make a blanket assessment of calling that group of people a wimp. Okay. I know and have been around in my past life individuals who would lay down their life for their brother next to them, not for being a hero, but for the love of them. Would fall on a grenade or take a bullet because it's just the type person that these people are. Okay. I always tell people, yeah, the defense budget is high, but the money that goes to fund special operations and special forces is not a penny too much, and they deserve more. If anyone had a clue the things that they go through in training and then go through in real life, putting their life on the line minute by minute by minute for love of country, love of family, is beyond description. And in almost every case, you'll never hear about it. Okay. So they would go in that bucket of a veteran. So would we call them a wimp too? No. So there's many facets that fall into a single title as a veteran. So it's not really a fair statement. So let's expand on that a little bit more. Have you ever been around a Vietnam veteran and noticed how they're subdued and they don't really talk about where they've been? And even since the Vietnam War, I know individuals who they don't really talk a whole lot about places they've been, things that happened. They just kind of categorize it. They deal with it on their own, or when they're with those individuals they experienced it with, and they'll talk about it privately, but they don't share it. Many of us who are veterans are thankful for the opportunity. The honor was in serving, and we're very thankful for the American people who paid our way through the years we served, and now pay our medical and pay our retirement compensation for the years that we served. But many of us have busted up bodies, knees, ankles, legs, hips, back, necks. A lot of veterans have outward scars that you can see, especially in the last 20 years as warfare has grown more violent and battlefield medical care has increased to save lives on the battlefield and get them to a treatment center before bringing them back to Walter Reed or to Wilford Hall for long-term care. As many of us age, we have physical ailments that we deal with daily that make it hard. So for those of us in that case, I think any true veteran for love of country and love of the Constitution and the country that we were founded on, I can only speak for myself, but it's heartbreaking to see where this country is today. And our hope and prayer is that the ship can right itself so that our civilian brothers and sisters don't have to see and endure things that many of us witnessed in foreign lands, because it's ugly, and quite frankly, no human should have to see and endure things like this. So then you got the psychological side of it. You've got individuals who appear normal and they show no battle scars, however they're damaged psychologically. You know, and I've shared with you before how important it is to know your own psychological makeup, your psychological well-being, how well you handle stress when put under stressful conditions. How are you going to react? Are you going to have brain freeze? Are you going to suffer fight or flight? I've witnessed macho men, weightlifting, gung-ho, tough guys melt like candles when put under stress. And it's not a personal attack on them, and it's not a personal fault of theirs. It's just how they're made up psychologically. Okay? And the 10% that I told you earlier that were shooters are put through rigorous training about every possible scenario and training possible to man, that they learn before they're sent forward how they're going to psychologically handle this type of environment. Okay, so would I call them wimps if they're secluded and not stepping out? No, I would definitely not. And many of us who are veterans have aged, and we not only have some physical ailments, but we look out into our country to the men, and You know, it's kind of like it's time to man up. It's time to be a man, because it's what men do. I could go further down that rabbit hole, but I won't. But not to sound selfish, but we paid our dues, and it's now their turn to pay their dues, whether they're a veteran or not. However, I will say that most veterans that I know, who I worked with when I was working in special operations, they will only be pushed so far, and when the time comes to unleash havoc, it will be like a lawnmower mowing a field of grass, and they basically will be no questions asked, and this total hell will be unleashed. And I think most veterans have their safety on right now because they don't want it to come to that. Okay. However, we all did take an oath, and we haven't forgotten that we will defend our Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We have not forgotten that. We will take that to our grave. Okay. So I think to say that veterans are wimps because they're not doing anything, I think is kind of, it is a very wide blanketed statement that one needs to seriously dig into all the different makeups that are wearing that one uniform that's called a veteran. Okay, they all have different skills. They all are made up differently. Many of them went in the military to see the world. Many of them went in the military to get trained on a skill to get out and get a better job for their family. Many of them, like myself, for the most part, I stayed in for 20 years for love of country. You know, I love my flag, I love my country, and I loved everything that my country stood for from my view. Everyone will have to decide their own opinion on the question that was posed to me, and feel free to comment down below. I think it's an easy question for anyone to ask if they haven't served and if they don't really understand the depth of all the makeup of the military. It's a business. It truly is a business. It's a business that fights wars, a business that, when told to, kills people and collapses governments. It's just that we wear a camouflage uniform of a certain type, and that's what they paid us and trained us to do. So anyway, you can give it some thought and think about it, and leave your comment down below. Thanks again for tuning in. Stay safe out there, and stay healthy. Keep your head on a swivel, and we'll see you again soon. Be blessed. Bravo Echo out. Thank you for checking out the Hope for Survival YouTube channel. If you are new to Hope for Survival, you can check out our books at our webpage. Book 1, which is Hope for Survival, Getting You Prepared for Disasters, and Book 2, Hope for Survival, The Mindset, are both available for order on the website. We also offer the Hope for Survival football stick, which is a memory stick set up as a digital filing cabinet with files already loaded on there. for you to digitally copy items such as deeds, auto transcript for ownership, wills, living wills, loans, banking information, items that if your home burned down or you had some form of a disaster, you could have all your important papers already digitally filed on this stick. All you do is simply drag the digital file into the appropriate preset folder so that you'll have it in the event of a disaster. You have to flee your home in a hurry, or also if you're away from home and you need critical information that's personal, if you have your memory stick with you, you can put it in your computer and pull that information up wherever you may be. Again, you can find these items to order at our website, https www.hopeforsurvival.com, or you can email me at preparedness101@protonmail.com, and I will try to help you out. Again, thanks for checking out the Hope for Survival YouTube channel. Hope to see you again.